What if I were to say everything we experience is dual in nature? That everything has a set of poles, and that these poles are a set of opposites, and that these opposites are actually identical in nature, yet only differ by a degree. Join us in this video as we gain clarity on polarity. My name is Sean Taylor, a journeyer on this trip called life, passing through and sharing some tips, tricks, and tools that have helped me gain clarity on my path. And today we're exploring the fourth Hermetic principle, the principle of polarity. So what is polarity? Well, the yin and yang have been used to illustrate this. We have the feminine energy, the negative energy, the yin, that is the dark energy. And then we have the yang, which is the positive, the masculine force. And these two dualistic forces are actually just demonstrations of the extreme of the one. Temperature is another great thing. Where does hot begin and cold end? They're opposite ends of the spectrum, and they only differ by degree, quite literally. And we can see this played out even in the political spectrum. We have the left and right wing. And to illustrate how polarization takes effect, let's take the gun debate. One side, the left side, wants to take away the guns, make sure nobody has it, and then, nobody has guns. And the right side says, hey, everybody should have guns. And what they're ultimately arguing about is about safety. Both parties want to keep themselves safe, but the degree and the steps that they're taking they have different paths to it. So both parties want that safety, but they have differing degrees and ideas of how to attain that. Another example of polarity that we can use is wet and dry, which dry is essentially the absence of moisture. It's just to which degree something is wet. Which brings in an important point is in our last video we talked about more begets more. You can't get something dry by adding more water to it. It'll never happen. And how we can use this, let's play with this idea some more. So do you believe that we'll be able to create peace through violence? More violence is just going to create more violence. So we need to use the opposite polarity to bring us back to center, to balance it out. And really, that's its ultimate goal. The universe wants to maintain balance. You put an ice cube in hot water, that ice cube melts, but that hot water also cools down. It reaches equilibrium. And this polarity, when polarized to the extremes, it makes us easier to control. When we're frantic about something, we're more apt to look for something. And honestly, our media and governments prey and play off this idea of polarity. They play the left and right wings off each other. They leverage these trigger tactics to get us activated, to polarize us, to act to their will. And so when we're able to consciously identify when we are becoming polarized, we're able to withdraw our energy from that pendulum sway, and redirect it into a more positive source. So how do we use this idea of polarization? Well, if you're feeling down in the dumps, you can start thinking about happy thoughts. I realize this is hard at sometimes, but if you're going to continue to ride that cycle of depressive thoughts, more begets more. If you add more depressive thoughts, you're going to have more depressive thoughts. But when you take that conscious awareness and place it upon, hey, I'm in a depressive state, I'm going to polarize this, gain balance from this by thinking about happy thoughts. And then as you start thinking those happy thoughts, you start heading into that direction. You begin to gain that balance. And one of the things we can do, if we are feeling polarized, feeling negative energies or what have you, one of the great things we can do is get your ass in the grass, ground yourself. That'll take out all that extra energy that you're feeling when you are feeling polarized, and it'll bring you back to that balanced state. And one of the little golden nuggets about this polarity, if you're feeling that intense negative energy, there's an equal and opposite on the other side of that spectrum to be experienced. So what did we cover in today's polarization video? And really, I think this is a great one, because as soon as you recognize the polarization, you'll see it everywhere. You'll see it between the opposing sides and how they're essentially fighting for the one. And we can use this as a positive reinforcement that when we are feeling in those negative states, that there's an opposite state to that depressive state. As low as you can get low, the higher the high can get. It's just one of those things that has given me reassurance when I am in those low states, that there is the opposite of that. And I can redirect my focus towards that end. And then naturally, with my mind focused towards that, my body navigates through the maze to get to that point. We've learned that when we're polarized, we're out of that driver's seat. But when we can check in and catch ourselves, we take that conscious action, and we're back in that driver's seat. We're back in control, which is ultimately where we want to be. We want to be writing our own stories. So with the pen in our hand, I want you to comment down below how polarization, how you've seen polarization happen, how you can identify it now. Make you call it out and say, okay, this is a navigation point, I want to move from this. Join us in our next video where we're going to be talking about rhythm, the tides, how everything has a season to it. The tide goes in, the tide goes out. Grab some fresh air while you're out here. Much love, take care, peace everybody.